Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Black power.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Wednesday, July 23rd, 2025, coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. Folk, a huge victory against the Muscogee Nation. We'll talk about this legal case with Damario Solomon-Simmons, who has been leading that effort. Also on today's show, ooh, man, Trump, is something wrong with him? Is Jeffrey Epstein? Is his name in the files? Ooh, Wall Street Journal says, Attorney General Pam Bondi said, your name is in the files. I told y'all that boy was losing his mind. Also, Tulsi Gabbard keeps lying about Russian interference in the 2016 election. Wait till I show y'all all the liars. Y'all know she actually talked about it before. Sean Hannity said they interfered. Now he's saying they didn't. Boy, the ass kissing for Trump is just so amazing. A black man beat by Jacksonville deputy sheriffs speaks out while the black sheriff announces the cops will not be prosecuted. Yeah, y'all know we got to talk about that as well. Plus, we'll talk about Gilead pharmaceutical company, efforts that they are involved in to cut HIV/AIDS rates among African Americans. Lots to break down. Y'all, it's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
Folk, big story out of Oklahoma where the Muscogee Nation, they now have to abide by a landmark ruling that recognizes African Americans and the descendants who are part of this nation. Attorney Damario Solomon-Simmons has been leading this effort. We, of course, have talked about it several times as well. He joins us right now. Of course, co-founder of Justice for Greenwood. So go ahead and tell us what's up with the Creek Freedmen. Walk people through what happened today and how significant this is, Damario.
Well, good to see you, Roland. This is very significant because for the first time in 46 years, Black Creeks, also known as Creek Freedmen, will now have their citizenship rights restored to the Muscogee Creek Nation. This will impact tens of thousands of Black Creeks throughout the nation who will not only receive their birthright and their citizenship rights, but also have opportunities to have tangible benefits, life-sustaining and altering benefits like free health care, child care, education benefits, etc.
Okay, so explain to folks, why would they have free health care, free child benefits? What, as a result of the Muscogee Nation? Explain that.
Sure. Well, the Muscogee Creek Nation was one of the five quote-unquote civilized tribes who in the late 1700s, early 1800s adopted European-style culture, speaking English and having a plantation-style economy. And a part of that was the enslavement of Africans and of their own indigenous Black members. And so when they was moved to Oklahoma in the 1830s and continued to enslave and continue to discriminate against their Black members, they sided with the Confederacy during the Civil War. They lost, obviously the Confederacy lost the war at the time, and so they had to do new treaties. And that treaty of 1866, which was negotiated and signed by five individuals, one of them being my four-time great-grandfather, Cal Tom, ended enslavement within the Creek Nation, and it also granted citizenship to all Creeks of African descent. But in 1979, the Creek Nation decided they did not want the Creeks of African descent anymore, and they illegally excluded us through their new constitution. And so we've been fighting that battle ever since. And today, their own Supreme Court affirmed that the Treaty of 1866 guarantees Creeks of African descent, also known as Creek Freemen, to have full citizenship within the Creek Nation.
For folks who don't know, walk through how long this legal battle's been going on, because they were trying everything to shut y'all down.
Yeah, even when you came down, Roland, you saw it firsthand. Listen, I started working on this in 1999 when I was trying to get my own citizenship. And then when I graduated law school in 2004, this was the first case I took to trial in 2005. And we lost in 2007. We lost again in 2018. We lost in 2019. But we kept hitting, and we had a victory in 2023 that the Creek Nation appealed, and it's from this appeal that we have finally heard their Supreme Court say, yes, you can win. Because in 2007, the Muscogee Nation Supreme Court ruled against us. So this is an amazing day. It is just, I can't stop smiling. And I just wish my grandmother, Johnny Mae Austin, who died in 2019 at 89 years old, who was a named plaintiff in our case in 2018, she spoke Creek, and she grew up on our Creek allotment. I just wish she was here to witness this.
Explain when you said their Supreme Court. People may not realize that these Native American tribes, they have a separate system than the United States Supreme Court.
Absolutely. Thank you, Roland, for that question. So the Creek Nation is the fourth largest Native American tribe in the nation. It has over 100,000 members or citizens. And so it has a fully functioning government with a principal chief and executive office. It has a legislative office, which they call the National Council. And then they have a judiciary where they have a district court, just like in the United States. And then they have a Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court in the Muscogee Creek Nation has 7 members. 2 of those members had to recuse for our case, and so 5 members decided it, and I'm happy to report that it was a unanimous decision.
Okay, so they had to recuse themselves. Were they 2 of the ones who were previously involved in the case? So what happened there?
Yeah, the 2 that had to recuse themselves were previously involved in the drafting of the 1979 Constitution that excluded Black Creeks. And so I'm very happy that they did the right thing and recused from this particular case, because this case was about what is supreme. Is the Constitution of the Creek Nation, or is it the supreme law of the land because of the Treaty of 1866? So just for the listeners to understand, under the law, treaties of the United States is second only to the United States Constitution. So that's why we were saying no matter what their constitution, the Creek Nation's constitution stated from 1979, the Treaty of 1866 has never been abrogated or made invalid, and that is what covers and controls in this situation.
Obviously, a huge issue. I want to bring in my panel right now. Joining us right now on our panel is, of course, Rebecca Carruthers, President and CEO, Fair Election Center. Glad to have her on the show. Also, A. Scott Bolden, attorney here in Washington, D.C. Joe Richardson, civil rights attorney out of Los Angeles. Glad to have 3 of you here. So I guess I'll have the lawyers start. Joe, you start with your question for Damario.
First of all, Damario, congratulations. This is an incredible accomplishment, and it is obviously very personal for you for some obvious reasons because of your own history. But tell me this, do you see any possibility with this potentially being precedential in terms of setting a precedent that other folks that believe they belong to tribes, because the point is made that tribes, one of the things that the tribes did a pretty good job of is getting, self-determination, funding, setting up casinos and things like that, where the people that are members do quite well. Have there been any discussions that you had over the years that lead you to believe that perhaps in some other areas where we have brothers and sisters who are descendants of tribes, that this could possibly be a route that they may try to take as well?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Right, definitely. You had the Cherokee Nation, which is the largest Native American nation, almost 500,000 members. They had a similar issue that I worked on. That was resolved in 2017. The Creeks are now. You also have the same issue with the Choctaw. You remember the movie Sinners. We all love the movie Sinners. And at the very beginning of the movie, they had the Choctaw Indians that were actually chasing the vampire. Well, the Choctaw Nation was one of those nations that enslaved Black folks. and one of those nations that discriminated against black folks. And right now, they are doing the same thing that the Creeks have been doing. And so that's the issue that we're looking at also within the Seminole Nation. You have black Seminoles who have been a part of the nation for hundreds and hundreds of years, who are also getting discriminated against. So we're looking at all of those issues, and there may be other nations around the country, and we're happy to talk to people and see if it's something we can help with. It's very specific based upon your lineage. A lot of people say, hey, I got some Indian in me, but you have to be able to document it. And that's the thing about the Black Indians of Oklahoma. We are the most documented black people in the nation. Because ever since they've been taking our land, starting in the late 1700s, they always create these lists of the citizens. So I can document my lineage back to the late 1700s, going all the way up to me. And so that's what it would take. But we know how to do that research, so it certainly could be a route.
Scott.
Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations on your victory. Although, are you really saying that Indians, the Native Americans, discriminated against black people, just like white people discriminated against black people in this country?
No, he didn't say discriminated. He said enslaved.
Enslaved.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, the black man can't catch a break.
Yeah, but go ahead, Scott.
So let me ask you this. So as part of this deal or this ruling, first thing that comes to mind is reparations. Are there any reparations in the mix in this ruling, or is that a subsequent separate lawsuit Black Creek would have to bring?
Yeah, great. That's a great question, and I think it's something that should be thought about. At this particular ruling, this is just about the citizenship aspect of it, and what we're hoping. Our goal, and I'm reaching out to the chief. I'm hoping he can meet with me before I come to Chicago. Scott, I'll see you in Chicago at the NBA conference. I'm hoping I can get to the chief on Friday, and let's have a discussion about, hey, how can we heal the divide? How can we work together, become one family again, and move forward and have that conciliation and be able to deal with some of these issues that even the one you talked about? So those things are all on the table. But first and foremost, we just want to say, can we get our citizenship? Can you recognize us not only as first-class citizens within the nation, but recognize our contribution to the Creek Nation over the last 500 years? See, here's the thing. A lot of people don't realize we were here when Columbus got here. There were Black Creeks here when the European came here. We're well documented going back to the 1500s. And so don't try to erase our contribution. Don't try to erase what we've done. Don't try to erase our heroes and sheroes within the nation. Let's move forward as one people, and let's talk about how we heal. And obviously healing includes some type of reparatory justice.
Rebecca.
So how do you formalize that citizenship then?
So like I said, they have a full functioning government. They have a whole citizenship department. So they have three different locations. So in Northeast Oklahoma, they have one by Tulsa. You go, and what you have to show is that you are a direct lineal descendant from an individual that was listed on the 1906 Dawes Rolls. So it's either you are or you're not. You can't just decide, oh, I want to be on this roll. So like my great-grandfather, John W. Simmons, was a newborn in 1898. He's on that Dawes Rolls. And so I go from John W. Simmons to my grandmother, Johnny Mae Simmons, to my dad, Ahmad Shadi, to me. That's my lineage. That's how I can show that I am actually one that should be getting citizenship. Now, I could go all the way back to Cal Tom, who was born in 1810, or I could go all the way back to Moses Perryman, who was born in 1780. So I could do that too.
Wow. Congratulations.
Rebecca.
Thank you.
Hey, Damario, it's good seeing you tonight.
What's up, Rebecca?
I'm listening to your story. So I spent some summers in the 80s in Muskogee Nation visiting my great-grandmother on my dad's side in the township of Summit, Oklahoma. Yes, in Summit, Oklahoma. She had, when she passed away, she lived in a 2-room shack, she had an outhouse, didn't have indoor plumbing yet, so there was a pump in her kitchen area, but she finally got electricity. So now I got lots of questions. I'm going to have to call my daddy after the show tonight. How do you go about doing the research, proving lineage?
Well, listen, I'm gonna help you out. All you have to do, and anyone that's listening that think they may have a connection, the way Rebecca just talked about, you can contact Justice for Greenwood. Go to justiceforgreenwood.org. We have a whole We Are Greenwood program. We have a little form there, and you can say, hey, I think I may be connected to the Black Indians of Oklahoma, and we'll do a little research and see if you pass the prerequisites. And if you do, then we can get you one of our genealogists. We have 5 genealogists within Justice for Greenwood that does this work, and then we have our sister coalition organization, the Muskogee Creek Indian Freedmen Band, and they also do this lineage work for you. So if you have someone on the Dollar's Rolls, we can find it.
All right, then. Well, Damario, congratulations. It has been a long, long battle, and the fight continues. We appreciate it.
And let's say one other thing. Summit, Oklahoma is one of the traditional black towns of Oklahoma, and reasons there's so many black towns, including the great Greenwood, of the home of Black Wall Street, was because of the Black Indians had already been here. They had already been free. They already had land. They already had power, and they already had a freedom mind state. So it goes full circle.
Well, certainly enjoy this win because you will have few wins this fall when your Oklahoma Sooners play in the SEC.
That's all right, man. I'll take this win.
And you will have even fewer wins for your Dallas Cowboys. So, right, enjoy this one. But come football season, you will not have a joy. You'll be getting lots of text messages from me on Saturdays and Sundays this fall.
You know what? That may be true, but here's the deal. 43 days ago, Mayor Nichols announced the reparatory justice for Greenwood, and today we got justice for Black Creeks. Hey, I'm good for the rest of the year, dog.
Yeah, because you know y'all gonna be losing. All right, Damario, we appreciate it. And you're an Omega. You 0 for 3. All right, you 0 for 3. You just keep taking L's. All right, appreciate it.
Peace.
All right, y'all, going to a break. We'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr, we look at one of the most influential and prominent Black Americans of the 20th century. His work literally changed the world. Among other things, he played a major role in creating the United Nations. He was the first African American and first person of color to win the Nobel Peace Prize. And yet today, he is hardly a household name. We're talking, of course, about Ralph J. Bunche. A new book refers to him as the absolutely indispensable man.
His lifelong interest and passion in racial justice, specifically in the form of colonialism. And he saw his work as an activist and advocate for the Black community here in the United States as just the other side of the coin of his work trying to roll back European empire in Africa.
Author Cal Rostiala will join us to share his incredible story. That's on the next Black Table, here on the Black Star Network.
This week on The Other Side of Change.
Zohran Mamdani, the New York City mayoral race, and this progressive wave that has sent such a shockwave through all of New York City and really the rest of the country. Jamal Bowman is going to help us understand what this mayoral election means and how we make sure that it translates across the nation.
Can you imagine national Democrats identifying themselves as having flavor or riz or swag? Absolutely not, right? So hopefully the city does what it can in November to help resurrect this dying party and honestly just resurrect our democracy.
Only on The Other Side of Change on the Black Star Network.
On the next Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, Black Americans have 1/10 the wealth of their white counterparts. But how did we get here? It's a huge gap. Well, that's why we need to know the history and what we need to do to turn our income into wealth. Financial author and journalist Rodney Brooks joins us to tell us exactly what we need to do to achieve financial success.
You can't talk about why we are, as Black people, where we are, unless you talk about how we got here.
Bridging the Gap and Getting Wealthy, only on Black Star Network.
It's John Murray, the executive producer of the new Sherry Shepherd Talk Show.
This is your boy, Earthquake.
And you're tuned in to
Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Black women account for a disproportionate number of new HIV diagnoses among women. Additionally, Black transgender women experience the highest rates of new HIV diagnosis amongst transgender people and are more likely to remain undiagnosed and untreated compared to their peers. In response to this staggering trend, Gilead Sciences has launched the Setting the Pace initiative. The Prevention, Arts, and Advocacy Committee and Education Program is a 3-year, $12.6 million commitment aimed at expanding HIV prevention efforts in underserved communities. Joining us now is Dr. Toyin Nwafor, hopefully I pronounced that correctly, Executive Director of Gilead U.S. HIV Medical Affairs, and also singer Raheem DeVaughn, who is partnering with Gilead, Setting the Pace initiative. Glad to have both of you joining us right now. Doc, I want to go to you first because here's the thing that jumps out, and I've covered this story for decades. And when you go back to the initial AIDS outbreak in the early 1980s, it was essentially a white gay man's disease. What ends up happening is you have all of these different groups that are formed in San Francisco, in Los Angeles, in New York, targeting these white gay men. Well, that actually played a huge role in creating the LGBT community, political advocacy organizations. What then happens is battles, whether it was a Democratic president or a Republican president, when you begin to see the numbers and the impact on Black people, you didn't see the shift of the resources going from white, gay, male-targeted community to African Americans. And so a huge part of this in the last decade or so has been this consistent battle on the ground in cities like Houston and Chicago, Charlotte. We talk what's happening on HBCU campuses, where the infrastructure, the federal money, the infrastructure still is not keeping pace with what the data actually shows. Doc, can you hear me?
Yes. Oh, I wasn't sure if that was a
yes,
question.
Go ahead,
yes,
go ahead.
So, okay, great. Yeah, so thank you for kind of summarizing, the last couple of decades of what we've seen with HIV. And when I started to take care of people living with HIV in the middle 90s, we did see that. And we saw again, over and over again, the discrepancy between what was happening in the communities and what the data was showing and what the perception and what the funding and all the realities of what was happening with that. And I think what's important is for us, like in the communities, in healthcare, in the media, to be able to talk about what is the reality of HIV in 2025, that there are still 39,000 new HIV diagnoses in the US in 2023. And those numbers are disproportionately impacting Black communities, where, up to 38 to 40% of new diagnoses are in Black people, though we make up less than 14% of the population. And women, especially, when we think about 1 in 5 new HIV diagnoses are in women, many of whom are from heterosexual contact. And in those women, 1 in 5 infections are in women, but 50% of those are in Black women. So clearly, what has happened over the decades is that the reality of what is happening with HIV, who's living with HIV, who's vulnerable to new HIV infections, where the funding is, what's happening in our community is very different from where things are in the 80s, and the perception about where things are is very different. So it's becoming really important for us to continue to have the conversation, but also think about what it is that we need to do in the healthcare community, in industry, in the communities to change those numbers and make sure that we drive solutions for the epidemic.
When you talk about those numbers, a significant amount of that is in the South. Why?
Right. So again, when we look at it, you are absolutely correct. More than half of the new diagnoses of HIV infection are in the South. And in certain areas, and I know we'll continue to talk about those numbers, again, disproportionately impact people for a couple of reasons, right? So we have factors that have to do with a lot of social drivers of health. And it's unfortunate, but the reality is when we look at the diagnosis of new HIV infections, when we look at the overlay of diabetes, when we look at the overlay of obesity, other chronic conditions, we do see that disproportionate impact. And it's multifactorial, as you know, right? We have issues with, obviously, access to good quality healthcare, access to culturally competent clinicians who can have those conversations. We have issues with, obviously, funding, other social determinants of health that impair people's ability to actually get care. But then also, we also know that there is misinformation, there's disinformation, there's stigma. Stigma is a big driver of why we still continue to see disparities, stigma in the community, stigma in healthcare settings. And as long as there's stigma, it's really hard to have the hard conversations and the open conversations that need to happen around sexual health, sexuality, talking about HIV prevention, talking about sexual health. As long as there's stigma and as long as we're not having this conversation in an open, non-judgmental, stigma-free way, we're going to see those disparities, and they're layered on a lot of structural and social determinants and drivers of health that remain in the country.
Raheem, why did you decide to join this effort?
Well, you know, I'm no stranger rolling to community activism, you know, having the Love Life Foundation since 2016. My work as it relates to domestic violence. And this is no different. The statistics are outrageously, you know, it's super high. You know, Texas and Louisiana, Georgia, these are like three of my like major markets as a recording artist, you know, having influence, you know, being in these communities for so long, you know, making music that speaks, you know, for the bedroom and to intimacy as well. And, you know, it gives me an opportunity to do my part, you know, just in terms of activism.
Obviously, when you think about, again, over the last 45 years, there's been no greater community that is really focused on HIV/AIDS than the entertainment community, primarily because it was the hardest hit by this in the 80s and 90s. We're talking about dancers, actors, singers, a lot of people who are behind the scenes as well. And so, this is certainly not new in terms of entertainers really taking this mantle. When you think about the concerts and the song that Stevie Wonder, of course, Dionne Warwick, Luther Vandross did. When you think about the galas that Elton John had raised millions and millions, Elizabeth Taylor as well. So there's a long history of entertainers focusing on this issue.
Absolutely. You know, being on board with Gilead this last year and a half has been a blessing. It's been, you know, educational for me as well. You know, last year we touched over 40,000 women, had the opportunity to connect with over 40,000 women in less than 30 days. Utilizing my tour schedule to bring awareness to, you know, disparities and what's going on in the community. And you know, I didn't really realize the impact until, you know, I'm in those lines every night, and, you know, different people disclosing and letting me know, hey, like, I've been HIV positive, you know, since the 90s, or I lost my mother, I lost my grandmother, or, you know, my child has been diagnosed, or I've never been properly tested. You know, can I get tested right now? So again, you know, I like to call it a party with a purpose, and edutainment, as we call it, you know, where there's an opportunity to fuse and lock in and fuse education, you know, with entertainment.
Doc, this is a 3-year, $12.6 million commitment. What does it actually cover? What does that involve? Is that advertising? Is that advocacy? Is that on-the-ground activations? What exactly is the initiative?
It is a combination of all of those things, because we do know that to truly talk about ending the HIV epidemic for everyone, everywhere, and especially looking at communities disproportionately impacted, like the Black community, we really need to approach it from a multi-pronged approach along the continuum of where people live, work, play, pray, and love, where we're talking about community activation. We're talking about strategic community partnerships. We're talking about education to the community, bringing on advocates and community partners, We're talking about educating healthcare providers so they know the vital role that they play in dismantling stigma and having open, non-judgmental conversations, not just infectious disease clinicians like myself, but primary care providers, OBGYNs, and so partnerships in that regard. Partnerships with media, partnerships with journalists and media, partnerships with community advocates, and really looking at all the people that it would take. Because as was mentioned before, stigma, as long as there's stigma, it impacts people's ability to want to get an HIV test. It impacts people's ability to stay connected in care and stay linked in care. So the more that we're able to normalize HIV and the community conversations around it, the more likely people are to step up to get tested, to know their status. The more we talk about things like undetectable is equals to untransmittable, which is a campaign that Gilead and a lot of other healthcare organizations are supporting, which says that when a person living with HIV is on treatment and they're on medications and their viral load is undetectable, that they cannot transmit HIV to their sexual partners. Undetectable is untransmittable. It's such an empowering campaign because it allows the stigma to be diminished. And if people can think about in the most intimate act, sex, you can't transmit. This will really eliminate some of the stigma that comes around people talking about HIV and other contacts. And so that's important. And so I think the answer to your question, it is multifaceted, a multi-pronged approach, looking at the community, the individuals, looking at healthcare systems, healthcare providers, looking at media, looking at housing, all of the things that it takes to get people to be tested, linked to care, access to care, providing support services, and making sure that we're using the data to inform how we deploy our strategies and do that in an effective manner.
Questions from our panel. We'll first start with you, Rebecca.
Sure. There has been a push in this country to eliminate comprehensive sex education in public schools, and especially in the South, where oftentimes it is an abstinence-only curriculum, and using the term curriculum very loosely. Considering that the majority of public school kids in this country now are students of color, is there a link between the lack of comprehensive sex education and the increased rates in unplanned pregnancies, STD rates, including HIV/AIDS?
Well, for sure, what is important is that there needs to be comprehensive sexual health education. And unfortunately, that is not happening routinely. And we're seeing that it's not happening at the different levels of education and even in healthcare systems where they should be happening. So what people are doing and communities are doing are finding really innovative and creative ways to have that education from trusted community partners. Different people are coming up with programs that may now be after-school programs that may happen in other places where people socialize so they can have that conversation if they're not able to have it within the school curriculum. There are places where people are looking at different ways of, the advocacy and community voice, going to their boards and figuring out how to have those conversations. Because when they happen, and people get accurate, factual information, you're more likely to have great outcomes, as opposed to when the information is disjointed and people get information from different places. So while people figure out how we can get policy and advocacy to make those things happen, a lot of times community organizations and community initiatives and parents and different people are figuring out different ways to do what they need to do to get it done and figuring out, and so many creative, innovative programs. And I think it's on to us to find programs like those and amplify them, because they are happening, where people are figuring out how to get kids together and have conversations with them. And how do we get people to know about those without reinventing the wheel?
And to piggyback, Doc, one of the activities that we did during the tour last year were community town hall meetings, meeting with the mayor, local high schools, faith leaders, and when we really start having the conversations and really chopping it up and understanding that this is something that's affecting the youth as well. They are sexually active. These conversations need to be happening, with our children, with our grandkids, so forth and so on.
Scott.
Thanks, Roland. Doc and Raheem, I've always thought your most powerful partner to do away with stigma in regard to HIV/AIDS would be the Black church. It's a complicated partnership and one that has been short or taking quite a while to come around, if at all. I'm curious that in your discussion, either one of you all can take this question. I'm curious in your discussions with faith leaders from the 80s and 90s when AIDS was discovered till now, has the Black church been more active and been more open to partnering with you on this HIV issue, or is it still a struggle with those community churches?
Going from city to city on tour last year, this was a reoccurring topic for the room.
Yeah.
Definitely, there were faith leaders in the house that agreed wholeheartedly. They want to involve their local church. They're getting tapped into the community, and I think it has. We have seen a 360 turnaround. When you think about like the 80s and the 90s, and the conversations being said that they're taboo or shouldn't happen, at the sanctuary. I mean, I think we all believe in the power of prayer, but there's a saying that a friend of mine has told me that prayer without action is blasphemy. So, we have to definitely mob up and get with our faith leaders as well, and welcome the church into these conversations.
Yes, and like you said, it's Oh, go ahead.
No, Doc, go ahead. Doc, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, just to piggyback on your point there, that as you go around the country, there are differences in what you see and how people are engaged. And like we think about anything like as a bell-shaped curve, there are going to be people on one end who are advocates and champions. There are going to be people who, won't move. But most people, it's in that middle part where you can have those conversations. And those faith leaders, their congregants, are their constituents. And so some of the things that happen is, going into those places and having them understand how this impacts their congregation, their community, and really looking at other things that they may find more important. So if you're going in there to do blood pressure screening, diabetes screening, talking about vaccinations, and then you can talk about HIV testing and sexual health, and sometimes finding the messengers from those congregants. So they may not want somebody from outside of their congregation to do the speaking, but really finding partners and ambassadors within those settings, and then having those faith leaders who are bought on to like talking about sex and sexuality be the ones influencing their other faith leaders. But you are right. They play a critical role and really important parts of the conversation.
Because for you, when we talk about teens that are sexually active and, parents having the conversations about birth control, for example, I feel like there should be conversations about PrEP.
Absolutely.
There should be conversations about preventative measures, as well.
Yeah, if we're thinking about preventing pregnancy, we're thinking about preventing HIV. And that's a great point you brought up, because the Center for Disease Control did change the guidelines 2-3 years ago now to say that anyone who's sexually active should have that conversation, the healthcare providers, around HIV prevention. So if you're having you're sexually active. So it's a really important time.
And get tested for it.
Yes,
absolutely. Get tested for it. If you're heterosexual, we tend to put this in our homosexual community, but this affects everybody.
Absolutely.
Joe?
And we talked about for cisgender women, that 91% of cisgender women who acquire HIV are from heterosexual contact. So we really say if you're sexually active, we don't need to talk about who you're having sex with, how you're having sex, what sex you're having. Really, if you're sexually active, let's talk about how you can prevent HIV. And that is part of your sexual health. It's part of that conversation.
And now they have
Doc, I follow our multiple chats, and not everybody is locked in it. So when you say cisgender, what does that mean?
All right, so that means women who are born female and who also identify as female. So that's what the gender at birth is, also their gender identity, is how they're identifying.
Because you got folk who watch this show, they don't use all kind of different terms. They just use men, women. So they were like, I was looking, they were like, what is cisgender women? All right, go ahead, Joe.
No, thank you. Thank you for calling that out. We have to be always, thank you for doing that, because we always have to do that with any audience and make sure that we're clear. So thank you for doing that. So it's a sex assigned at birth.
Joe.
Also, we want to just touch on the fact that, now they have home testing kits. as well. You know, same way you can go to CVS and get a COVID test kit. You have a home testing kit, you know, so you can get tested, you know, in the privacy and comfort of your own home. You can get tested with your partner. You swab me, I swab you. You know, these are methods. Everybody seems to love that campaign, you know. Yeah, but on a serious note, you know, these are alternatives that exist out there. I think, you know, again, it's about normalizing the conversation, you know, about sexual health.
All right, Joe, go ahead.
All right, guys, thank you so much, Brother Raheem. I appreciate your music, your work over the years. Like a lot of people would say, I guess Woman and Customer are probably still my favorite songs. But I think it's amazing that above your art, in addition to your art, which is already brilliant, you would actually connect with something that allows you. I mean, this is what you sing about. So it's a great fit and very as responsible as it is brilliant for you to be making this connection and to have this partnership. And I appreciate you for doing that. Doc, I want to add and ask, and whoever can come in should hear either of you, the fact that Gilead is doing what it's doing is great. Is there some pivot that you're making or some adjustment that you make or some raising of the stakes and additional monies that you're looking for, et cetera, and higher goals because of what we see happening on the government side? I don't know how much or how little you have government partners, but with the threats to funding that have happened, and even some people could actually even make this a DEI thing where you don't want to help women that, Black women who are disproportionately affected because it would amount to a DEI thing. Things that are that ridiculous are going on. So what I want to know is there some response from Gilead to raise the stakes, to raise more money, and to have even more targeted and higher goals because of what you see happening on the government funding and possibly the partnership side?
Great. Thank you so much for that question. And I think, like I started at the beginning, I am in medical affairs. I am Gilead at medical affairs. But what I can say confidently is that Gilead Sciences remains committed to making sure that we enhance access and commitment to make sure that people who need and want HIV prevention medications and treatment get access to it. And so there is a commitment for that. I am not able to answer like funding questions or questions around specific dollar amounts, but there is a commitment to health equity and to making sure that people who need and want access to our medications have that. And so that is that commitment and ongoing partnerships to make sure that that is happening. But I'm sure if there are specific questions around funding and the funding types, there are people within Gilead leadership who can answer that. We have people in public affairs, government affairs, and who are really working on those partnerships constantly.
All right, then. Again, when you talk about health issues in this country, this and so many others, African Americans are unfortunately at the top or the bottom, depending upon how it is rated. Absolutely, when it comes to getting the information out there, directing those media dollars to Black-owned media is important as well, not just ABC, NBC, CBS. And again, having those on-the-ground conversations that are the tough ones that folks don't want to have, but actually absolutely need to have. And so we certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, folks, going to a break. We'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Don't forget to support the work that we do. Listen, we don't have millionaires and billionaires cutting us checks. We're out here fighting the good fight every day when it comes to getting sponsorship for our show, and so your support is critically important. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans on average contributing $50 each a year. That's $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. I don't do a Patreon. I don't do a Substack where we're charging people. We don't do a subscription because we want the content to be widely available. So your support is really important. we could do that, but then again, we wouldn't be streaming on all these different platforms, and it wouldn't be as widely accessible. And so when you support us by joining our Bring the Funk fan club, it pays for this show, it pays for the other shows on the network, pays for our marketing, our staff, all of this equipment, all these different things that we're doing. I said the other day, we just completed a $70,000 lighting refresh in our studio, a $40,000 IT upgrade in our studio. We just, of course, finished getting our traveling, our mobile unit. That with taxes is $284,000. That's real dollars, and then the insurance alone is $20,000 a year. This space that we're in, we just signed a new 8-year lease, and it went from $15,000 to $24,000 a month. And so all of that, although those are real expenses, and so this is about us doing something that no one else is doing. And when I talk about no one else is doing, I want you to understand something. That when you look at the numbers, as well, this show, this is the only black news show that ranks in YouTube's top 100 podcasts. It is the only one. Earlier, I looked at it, and in the next commercial break, I'm going to actually show you the chart. But the reality is, on that list, it's sports, it's entertainment. If they black, it's sports and entertainment. News, it's just us. A couple of conservative dudes, they've been getting pushed by the conservatives out there. There's nobody else. We're the only one on the YouTube Top 100 podcast list that is a black news and information show. And listen, I appreciate sports, I appreciate entertainment. We cover some of that, but you know what? It's already enough of that out there. And literally on that top 100 is Shannon Sharp, Chad Ochocinco, it's Carmelo Anthony, it's Gilbert Arenas, it's Ryan Clark, the guys with the pivot, it's comedians, it's Joe Budden. That's what it all is. There's no other black news show in the top 100. And so your support is critical. Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. You see the QR code right here. This QR code, if you're listening, simply go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com for the link. Click the Cash App pay button to contribute. Checks and money orders, make them payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. Send to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo, RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back.
This week on the other side of change.
Zohran Mamdani, the New York City mayoral race, and this progressive wave that has sent such a shockwave through all of New York City and really the rest of the country. Jamal Bowman is going to help us understand what this mayoral election means and how we make sure that it translates across the nation.
Can you imagine national Democrats identifying themselves as having flavor or riz or swag? Absolutely not, right? So hopefully the city does what it can in November to help resurrect this dying party and honestly just resurrect our democracy.
Only on the other side of change on the Black Star Network.
On the next Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, Black Americans have 1/10 the wealth of their white counterparts. But how did we get here? It's a huge gap. Well, that's why we need to know the history and what we need to do to turn our income into wealth. Financial author and journalist Rodney Brooks joins us to tell us exactly what we need to do to achieve financial success.
You can't talk about why we are, as Black people, where we are, unless you talk about how we got here.
Bridging the Gap and Getting Wealthy, only on Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Jo Marie Payton, voice of Sugar Mama on Disney's Louder and Prouder Disney Plus, and I'm with Roland Martin on Unfiltered.
Prosecutors in Jacksonville, Florida have decided not to file charges against the cops who repeatedly punched a black man during an arrest. Nobody is shocked by that. In February, during a traffic stop, William McNeil Jr. refused to exit his vehicle after requesting a supervisor multiple times. In response, the officers broke McNeil's window and struck him several times in the head. Following the announcement that no charges would be pursued, McNeil and his family held a news conference with their attorneys, Harry Daniels, as well as Ben Crump.
He's my firstborn. He's also my only son. I have 4 children. He is the only boy. I have 3 girls. The day I seen that video, I couldn't finish it past the window breaking. It wasn't until maybe a few months ago I finally finished the whole video. But I'm thankful to God for protecting him, because I know what the outcome could have been. But I believe in faith in God is what protected my only son, and I thank God for that.
I'm Alton Solomon, the father, stepfather, but I can't call him my stepson because this is my son.
Yes, sir.
I've been through what he's been through. To see that video made me go back to the moment when I was 22. It hurted. It made me upset. But I seen what my son did that I had to do. And he sat right, and he did right. To see that, it's a hurting feeling to be a father that loved God first, and to see all my kids not being able to wake up in the morning and get a phone call saying your child is gone. That's a hurting feeling, but I thank God.
Yes.
Because God got him. Y'all keep us in prayer.
First of all, I want to thank God for bringing everybody here together, and thank y'all for supporting. That day, I just really wanted to know, why I was getting pulled over and why I needed to step out the car when I knew I didn't do nothing wrong. I was really just scared. And that's it.
Folks, on a couple days ago, the sheriff announced for TK Waters released body camera footage. He said that McNeil's cell phone video of the arrest did not provide the complete picture. Despite this, the officer who initiated the stop has been stripped of his law enforcement authority. I mean, let's just be real clear, Scott. It's no shock this sheriff, who's been described as a MAGA sheriff, was not going to do anything. He was defending his officers. But anybody who watches the video knows full well they're stopping him saying, "Oh, you didn't have your lights on during inclement weather." When the cops pulled up, they didn't have their headlights on. Okay, it was daytime. There were raindrops on the on the window shield. But if you actually look at the video, his video or the body cam footage, it's not raining at all. So we know so Harry Daniels said the pretext was to stop him, and they got pissed off because multiple times he requested a supervisor, and then when they said get out of the car, he closed the door and he kept saying, "Please, can I see a supervisor?" And I'm saying, you're a black. All these people talk about, well, just comply. We have done way too many of these stories, Scott, where a black man complies on a routine traffic stop, and the family is then having a funeral.
Yeah, and this kid survived. So let me tell you, whenever we do these videos, I like to take your listeners and viewers into the video, because what you don't see here, and this gets back to police training, this is a problem with police training. There is not one cop there who is trying to de-escalate the situation. What's the rush? He's in the car. He's not going anywhere. He wants to see a supervisor. In most jurisdictions, once you ask for a supervisor, all police conduct stops unless he is a threat to himself or a threat to the officer or to the community. So you wait there until the supervisor comes. Now, technically, he's got to obey a police order. But the fact that he disobeys a police order in most jurisdictions is a violation or a misdemeanor. And again, what is the rush? Why break the window and grab him out and take him out? Because they've been trained that once you disobey a police order or directive, then all bets are off. You can use force, sometimes deadly force inappropriately, in order to get compliance to a police order that may be innocuous, may not mean anything. If his light was out, you give him a ticket and you keep going. But that's not what they did. No de-escalation. And so the training in police departments across this country have got to have a de-escalation factor in there where you may not like him disagreeing with you or not agreeing with your order, but he's exercising his constitutional right. He's not threatening you. He doesn't have a gun. What's the rush? And so often these police departments are in a rush to not only enforce the law, but to have the opportunity to use force in making an arrest. It's just really highly inappropriate. Until that training changes, Roland, we're going to keep looking at videos like this in the future.
Well, and they also, Rebecca, get pissed off and angry that you dare question them. You dare question their authority. And so, and again, if you watch, we played the video. He doesn't escalate the situation. And what's crazy is when you listen to it, the first cop talking reasonable until he says, "Can I see a supervisor?" When the second cop comes along, he goes, "You know what? Talking reasonable until, excuse me, until he asks for a supervisor." And then he goes, "Okay, bust it." And it's like, to Scott's point, what the hell are you rushing for? Why does it have to escalate to where you bust the window, you're dragging them out, you slam them down? That's one of the things we say, okay, you want a supervisor? We're going to call a supervisor. Because you're trying to de-escalate, Rebecca. But these cops don't want to do that, Rebecca.
So I'm going to pick a fight here and disagree with Scott. Scott, you're wrong. This has nothing to do with training. We could train until the cows come home, and guess what's going to happen? These racist institutions are going to be racist institutions, and there's going to continue to be outsized violence against people of color, specifically Black folks and Black men, especially when it comes to their interactions with law enforcement. This has nothing to do with training. The next thing that I would say is, you know, over the years, we have covered countless stories like this. And afterwards, regardless if it's a quote unquote positive outcome, i.e. someone didn't die, or it is a negative outcome where there was death of a Black person at the hands of law enforcement, we routinely see the Black family get up, they invoke God almost as if it's to appeal to the white nationalists in this country that supports this type of racism through law enforcement towards Black men in this country. And at some point, the Black community, my community, our community is going to be sick and tired, because it doesn't matter if we're dressed up, if we're dressed down, if we're obeying commands or not obeying commands. If the end point is certain death because of a routine interaction with law enforcement, something has to give.
Yeah, no, we can both be right, by the way, Rebecca. You know, Raylan, one other thing real quick is this. When the police put you on the ground and put a knee in your back and put hands on your face and are punching you to get you to comply, it is physiologically impossible to comply, because when your head is pushed to the ground, your face to the ground, your body naturally reacts to push up, to breathe, to push up, to not have discomfort. And police automatically read that as non-compliance, which means they use force to bring you into compliance and forget that this is a routine traffic stop over a light. That's all it is. This isn't a murder suspect.
Right.
And so we can both be right. We need to get better. Police need to be better, but it's just tough, man. It's tough to be Black in America.
Yeah, and again, Joe, it was a headlight. Your headlights weren't on. I mean, this is Joe, here's what this is literally how easy that was. You get pulled over. Hey, sir, I pulled you over because I noticed your headlights were not on. This is inclement weather, and then when you have weather like this here, the law states you need your headlight on because the car in front of you and behind you need to be able to see your car because it's gray, it could be raining. So just a reminder, sir, keep your headlights on in inclement weather. Have a good day. That's literally the fucking stop.
Right.
That's it.
It could have been.
That's it.
Yeah, it could have been.
That's it.
Let me first of all.
Hold on. So, Joe, hold on. Let me add. That's if that was your intention for the stop, Joe. Joe, go ahead.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. There's your big if. So first of all, I want to shout out the officer, white cat in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, who pulled me over a couple weeks ago when I was caught red-handed speeding as I was running to get something while we were getting ready to move our daughter from South Carolina to Louisville, Kentucky. And he was just as nice and as respectful as he can be. He had me dead to rights, and I knew he was going to give me a ticket, and the brother just gave me a warning. So I said, thank you. I appreciate being reminded of those types of things. Now, I agree with Scott's point about compliance, the point that you're making about compliance. It's impossible to comply because there are natural reflexes. You know, and here's the biggest problem next door to this whole thing. Listen, I am certain that the sucker punch was not in the report, right? So the problem that they have is that they told a different story in that report than what it is that ultimately came out. They didn't expect that to come out because, you know, he went ahead and he pled within 24 hours because he kind of didn't know, you know, how else to deal with it or whatever. And I'm glad the brother survived the contact. That's always an important thing. The problem becomes when police officers make this leap from, quote, non-compliance. You know, there's an argument that, okay, is he not compliant because he asked for an officer, because he answered a question with a question? You know, there's a matter of the compliance issue. But then they take this leap to their safety somehow. So it's an ego thing. Right. It's not and I think it's a race thing too.
Yep.
Often, but it's
ego because first of all, one of the cops that participated in this was a black cop.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. When it comes to that, the color's blue, right? You know what I mean? I mean, look at what they're saying in the press conference. We're not surprised that they're not getting that they're not going to be prosecuted. And so it's an ego thing. He jumps over from non-compliance to being in a threat for actual safety, and now you do what it is that you do, and it's something that they don't want to answer for, right? So if you're sheepish about it and you don't write reports out fully and totally, when something comes out that you didn't want to come out, you punched him in the car, you punched him when you got him out of the car, and they're for you.
Oh, you forgot. Also, we saw a knife. You didn't see the knife.
Oh, yeah. We saw a knife. Oh, marijuana and marijuana thing. Okay, well, if he spoke of marijuana, he probably more calm as opposed to less. Let's keep it real. You know, it wasn't all of that, right? To your point, it wasn't all of that, and that's not something that they had to do. They, you know, and because what some people will do, particularly the white MAGAs, y'all, hey, you know, how y'all doing? Just in case y'all watching. What y'all do is you'll say, well, he didn't comply. He wasn't perfect. He wasn't this. He wasn't that. As long as you put the same standard to the officer that's supposed to know what to do,
right,
and that is responsible legally for doing X or Y or Z, and he's supposed to know because that's what he does all day, every day.
Yep.
If you say it that way, I can disagree with you, but at least you're consistent, but you don't hear them saying that.
Absolutely. And so let me. So first of all, Joe, that's cool that happened with you. I ain't quite. Well, actually, I ain't do like you do. So first of all, what happened?
I can't even go bang on no cop.
No. So what happened? First of all, was he hiding and he clocked you? Is that what happened?
You know, to be honest with you, I was making a beeline to the stove, you know, picking up some stuff when the movers were getting ready to come and the whole thing, trying to get back. So I didn't see where he came from.
See that.
Off the street I turned off of. But it was a residential neighborhood.
Right.
I was doing about 55 and a 30, dead to rights. He had me.
Right.
He was totally respectful, very cool, but I'm not going to give him no reason to bang on me in any event.
Right.
But
I
shouldn't be so relieved they did the right thing. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
I had one that was a little different. I was a little different. I was leaving. We had some meetings of the black former students at Texas A&M in College Station, and I'm trying to get back to Dallas, and I think I was trying to get back to Dallas to watch the game. I forgot what it was. Well, let's just say I was coming. I wasn't even I hadn't even got to Waco yet, and this cars in front of me was just going way too slow. I was driving. I think I had a Mazda Miata. I can't remember. And so I hopped over. I'm doing about 85 straight up. I ain't lying. And see, I think I went ahead and got the ticket because it actually makes for a better story. So what happened was, I'm not, Rebecca, why are you shaking your head, Rebecca? I'm serious.
Oh, I got stories about pretextually being pulled over by police.
No. So I'm doing about 85, and I look over, and I see it's a cop. Then I was like, shit, he already got me. So I sped up. Right. So, I did. I sped up, and I was like, well, hell, I'm already on the side of him. And I know he probably put over, like, I know he did not just speed up, but I did. So, so I went ahead and, I took some class or whatever the hell, but I figured
Did you traffic school or did you just pay it out?
Yeah, I traffic school. I don't know what the hell I did. It was traffic school something, but I figured it made for a better story me pulling off. I didn't slow down and get behind him because he was just going too damn slow, okay? It was an open road. It was a Saturday. Damn it, I had somewhere to go. All right. Straight up.
And I have to say, I didn't speed all the way to Louisville. He affected me. 10 hours, I didn't speed.
Yeah, I did. What'd you say, Rebecca?
I said you should have left earlier, then you didn't have to speed.
Oh, hell no. I would have been still speeding. I would have left earlier. What the hell are you talking about? Damn it. If the odometer said it went to 140, I only was doing 85. It didn't like when I drove before to Dallas to Houston, I hit 110. I'm just saying. I mean, it happens.
Keep talking.
No, I'm just telling you. It was a Saturday. I was going home, and it was an open highway, and I was, had the top down, put that bad boy cruise control on 110. When I got to Houston, my brother was like, how in the hell you get here that fast? He said, you came from Dallas.
Right.
Dallas to Houston is about 4 hours, 15-hour house. I did it in 3:05. He was like, how did your ass? I was like, hey, cruise control worked. All right, I got to.
Did you slow up after you got stopped? When you pulled off, did you slow up then, or did you?
No.
First of all, no. You got to. You got to take off. And you got to go to the speed limit because you're still in the town limit. But then once you get to the next town, hell, you can go ahead and take off because he ain't got jurisdiction. All right, let me go to a commercial break. We come back. All these little MAGA people, I love how they're trying to distract from Epstein. They can't. They're trying all they can. Now they're trying to talk about Tulsi Gabbard. I'm going to refer to the DOJ for them to arrest Obama. Yeah, okay. Let's try that bullshit. Oh, but I'm sorry. Y'all do know there's video of Tulsi saying the Russians interfered. There's always video. So I got to smack her dumb ass around. Plus, lying ass Sean Hannity, too. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr, we look at one of the most influential and prominent Black Americans of the 20th century. His work literally changed the world. Among other things, he played a major role in creating the United Nations. He was the first African American and first person of color to win the Nobel Peace Prize. And yet today, he is hardly a household name. We're talking, of course, about Ralph J. Bunche. A new book refers to him as the absolutely indispensable man.
His lifelong interest and passion in racial justice, specifically in the form of colonialism. And he saw his work as an activist and advocate for the Black community here in the United States as just the other side of the coin of his work trying to roll back European empire in Africa.
Author Cal Rostiala will join us to share his incredible story. That's on the next Black Table, here on the Black Star Network.
On the next A Balanced Life with me, Dr. Jackie, we're talking about leveling up, or to put it another way, living your very best life. How to take a bold step forward that'll rock your world.
Leveling up is different for everybody. I think we fall into this trap, which often gets us stuck because we're looking at someone else's level up journey, what leveling up means to them. For some, it might be a business venture. For some, it might be a relationship situation. But It's different for everybody.
It's all a part of a balanced life. That's next on Black Star Network.
Hello, I'm Paula J. Parker. Truly proud of the Proud Family, Louder and Prouder on Disney+. And you're watching Roland Martin, Unfiltered.
Well, Democrats are blasting these idiot MAGA Republicans for what they say is a shameful dodge, canceling Thursday's House votes instead of demanding transparency around the Jeffrey Epstein files. Democratic House Leader Hakeem Jeffries says the American people deserve answers, not more and more and more Republican excuses.
The Trump administration and House Republicans have been a complete and total failure. These MAGA extremists promised that they were going to lower costs in the United States of America. In fact, they promised the American people that costs would go down on day one. But costs haven't gone down. They are on the way up. Inflation is up. It's the quality of life of everyday Americans that is deteriorating. And Donald Trump and House Republicans are making things worse. The one big ugly bill will rip away health care from millions of Americans. Hospitals will close. Nursing homes will shut down. Community-based health clinics will be unable to operate. And as a result of the inability of everyday Americans to get the medical care that they need, people will die. This is a direct result of action taken by Donald Trump and House Republicans connected to the one big ugly bill. It's extraordinary that as we prepare to leave for the August district work period, what House Republicans can point to is a toxic and extreme Republican budget that will cause millions of Americans to be broke, sick, and hungry. That's the legislative accomplishment of House Republicans. And all of this was done to reward billionaires with massive tax breaks. The one big ugly bill is deeply unpopular. Donald Trump is deeply unpopular. And House Republicans haven't done a damn thing to make life more affordable for the American people. During the August district work period, House Democrats will hold events all across the country talking about our efforts to build an affordable economy that lowers the high cost of living in the United States of America, to protect the health care of the American people, and to combat the culture of corruption that exists in this town that undermines the ability to have a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. We're looking forward to holding town hall meetings across the country at the same time that Republicans will continue to run away from town hall meetings. But we will fill the void that they are leaving and engage aggressively with the American people, all in service of building a country where everyone can experience the American dream.
All right, now the stall comes as Congress will be taking a 6-week recess. So Mike Johnson said, man, y'all go home 5 days early because you know what? We ain't gonna sit here and do all this sort of stuff with these votes because you know they don't want to have to deal with that. All right, so that's what they're literally doing. Now check this out. You have to understand when you look at that compared to what all these idiots are doing. Okay, all right. So now they're trying to sit here and no, that's not what's going on. It's not what's going on. So now they're trying to do this. Now they're trying to go back. They pulling the Hillary emails. They're trying to go back to 2016, all this sort of nonsense. And it's literally a distraction. They're trying to sit here and play the okie doke, and they think we're going to fall for it. Now, y'all, it was a bipartisan Senate Intelligence Committee. Literally, it was led by Republicans that actually supported the findings that Russia was trying to impact the election. National security experts. Here, this latest report from Trump's Director of National Intelligence, who's not really intelligent, Tulsi Gabbard, isn't real. It's political spin. Now, check this out. Here's Trump trying to urge lawmakers, saying, Obama cheated. He cheated. He cheated. Listen.
After what they did to me, and whether it's right or wrong, it's time to go after people. Obama's been caught directly. So people say, oh, you know, a group. It's not a group. It's Obama. His orders are on the paper. The papers are signed. The papers came right out of their office. They sent everything to be highly classified. Well, the highly classified's been released. And what they did in 2016 and in 2020 is very criminal. It's criminal at the highest level. So that's really the things you should be talking about. I know nothing about the other.
Okay, we ain't trying to hear all that. But guess what, y'all? July 2018. That idiot said this.
Let me be totally clear in saying that, and I've said this many times, I accept our intelligence community's conclusion that Russia's meddling in the 2016 election took place. Could be other people also. There's a lot of people out there.
Quite interesting. Now, the same Tulsi Gabbard, the same one, who now claims I have the evidence. Here's her on Joe Rogan's podcast in 2018.
I think when you're talking about, and there's so many, I don't know, I'm kind of going in a few different directions here with these social media giants, how they're being misused to further certain agendas in different ways. But when you're talking about like these Russian troll farms that you mentioned, what is missing from all of the news coverage around this and all of the outrage about how this foreign country is trying to influence our elections, which is wrong and which the American people need to be aware of where this information is coming from, is the fact that and you're saying, why does somebody do that? Well, because this country does want to influence who we're electing, right?
Yes.
Like, we'd rather work with this person. We know that person is not going to be nice to us. The United States has been doing this for a very long time.
Sure.
In countries around the world, both overtly and covertly, through these kinds of disinformation campaigns, not even counting like the outright regime change wars, we're going to physically take you out. And I think it is very hypocritical for us to be discussing this issue as a country without actually being honest about how this goes both ways. So, yes, we need to stop these other foreign countries, and Russia's not the only one, there are others, from trying to influence the American people in our elections. We also need to stop doing the same thing in other countries.
Yeah, without doubt. But there's also the question is, what is Russia trying to achieve? Like, why do they want someone like Donald Trump in office versus someone like Hillary Clinton? Like, what is to be gained? And how much, how much do they benefit from that?
Yeah.
This is what's really one of the big questions that's going on right now.
Yeah.
With all the Russian hearings and the Mueller investigation and trying to get to the bottom of all this and why they did what they did and what they did. And there's many people that are blowing this off and they don't think that it's important, and the president's claiming it's a witch hunt. But it's very odd that we're having this conversation in the first place. It's never existed before in any single presidential election. There's never been talk of us or any politician that's running for president being influenced by a foreign superpower before today. It's just amazing that it took until 2016 before this became a real issue.
Well, that's what happens when you have a compromised person running for the Oval Office. But the lying gets better, y'all. So watch this. In 2019, Fox host Sean Hannity said point blank, he had, quote, zero doubt that Russia meddled in the 2016 election. Yet last night, did a 180. I wonder why.
Conservatives believe that Ukraine was responsible for election interference in 2016 and not Russia. It's a conspiracy theory. No, I've never said that. We pointed out many times on this program, Russia is a hostile regime led by a hostile actor, Vladimir Putin, who we're not going to have more flexibility with ever. I have zero doubt they meddled in the 2016 elections. I'm certain they did. Devin Nunes was warning Obama in 2014 it would happen, but they did nothing. And by the way, yeah, look at the dirty Russian dossier that Hillary bought and paid for. According to the New York Times, very late in the game, likely Russian disinformation from the beginning. And yes, Russia interfered in our 2016 elections. They have done it before. They're going to try and do it again. Every indication is also, though, separate and apart, Ukraine interfered in our elections as well, and I have no doubt others. The January 11, 2017 Politico reports in detail. If you read these declassified documents, and I have read them, it is very clear that they did not make the assessment that there was any interference, Russian interference in that election. The only Russian interference in the 2016 election actually was the Hillary Clinton bought and paid for Russian disinformation dossier, which we know was completely debunked. They knew it was debunked before they ever used it as the basis of not one but four FISA warrants. And then, of course, they had the meeting in the White House only weeks before Obama left office, and then minutes before Donald Trump was sworn in. Then it was the Susan Rice CYA memo. Barack Obama said, do everything by the book about a meeting weeks ago. James Comey said, do everything by the book weeks ago. So there's a lot here. They all lied. And I'm proud that this show and our ensemble cast of wonderful people, Solomon, Greg Jarrett, Sarah Carter, and others, we got it right. Rest of the media went along with the lies, the hoax, the conspiracy theories.
Your ass just lied. Like, they act like video does not exist of them lying. In fact, Trump's Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, used to be the senator from Florida. This is little Marco confirming Russia's interference in the 2016 election.
The cyber tools were used as a means to an end. It isn't necessarily what we should be focused on here. What we're talking about here is active measures. The active measures taken by the government of Vladimir Putin to influence and to potentially manipulate American public opinion for the purpose of discrediting individual political figures, sowing chaos and division in our politics, sowing doubts about the legitimacy of our elections. So if you look at the situation we now face, here's the aftermath. We had an election where, after some intrusions into some state databases, there was a one nominee for president warning about fraud in the election. And then after the election, we have some on the other side questioning the legitimacy of the president-elect because of Russian interference. And we have the president-elect questioning the credibility of the intelligence community because of its findings. This sounds like a pretty effective and successful effort to sow chaos, to undermine credibility of our leaders and of our government institutions. In essence, it sounds like they achieved what they wanted, to get us to fight against each other over whether our elections were legitimate and divide us in the way that sows the sort of chaos that they sought to achieve.
It gets better. The crazy, deranged, sicko Tulsi Gabbard, again, the director of national intelligence, who is literally not intelligent, she takes it a step further. Listen to this rabbit nonsense.
In the January 2017 intelligence community assessment that President Obama ordered, John Brennan, who was CIA director at the time, and the intelligence community intentionally suppressed intelligence that showed Putin was saving the most damaging material that he had in his possession about Hillary Clinton until after her potential and likely victory. The report goes into great detail about the information that Russia and Putin had on Hillary Clinton, which included possible criminal acts, like secret meetings with multiple named U.S. religious organizations in which State Department officials offered, in exchange for supporting Secretary Clinton's campaign for the presidency, significant increases in financing from the State Department. They also had documents that showed the patronage of the State Department to State Department employees who would go and support Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. There were high-level DNC emails that detailed evidence of Hillary's, quote, psycho-emotional problems, uncontrolled fits of anger, aggression, and cheerfulness, and that then Secretary Clinton was allegedly on a daily regimen of heavy tranquilizers. Then CIA Director Brennan and the intelligence community mischaracterized intelligence and relied on dubious substandard sources to create a contrived false narrative that Putin developed a quote-unquote clear preference for Trump.
If y'all want to understand why all of this is going on, there are some legitimate reasons. There are some legitimate reasons why this is happening. Oh, do y'all know what they are? Yeah, that's because they knew what was coming down the pipe. They knew what was happening. Such as CNN reporting the photos of Trump at Jeffrey Epstein at Trump's wedding. Yep. That's right. Look at this here. Boom, right at Andrew Kaczynski. Tweet, new, we uncovered multiple photos of Jeffrey Epstein at Donald Trump's wedding. Photos of the pair together earlier that year, at an event, and video of Epstein and Trump at the 1999 Victoria's Secret fashion show. Kaczynski had a brief phone call with President Trump this morning. When asked about the wedding photos showing Epstein attended, he responded, "You gotta be kidding me," calling CNN fake news and hanging up. Dude, they have photos of Epstein at your wedding. To Marlon Maples. Now the Wall Street Journal, you know, the paper that Trump says is going to sue. Y'all know what they're reporting? Did y'all know that they're reporting that Attorney General Pam Bondi told Trump, "Hey, boss, your name came up in the files." Go to my iPad. Justice Department told Trump in May that his name is among many in the Epstein files. Bondi also told President at the meeting that Justice decided not to release more Jeffrey Epstein documents because of the presence of child pornography and the need to protect victims. How many times have I told y'all Trump lies about lies? So when the reporters asked him about that story, he goes, she never told me that. She never told me that. That boy will lie about a lie. Y'all, this is why they're trying to bring up the Russia stuff. This is why they're talking about the Washington Commanders need to go back to the Redskins. This is why they're talking about toenail fungus or whatever the hell. I mean, they're just going to come up with anything. Right, Rebecca's looking like, what the hell? Rebecca, that's my whole point. They will come up with anything to not have to deal with Epstein because they don't want to have to own up to the fact, Joe, that he was kicking it with the pedophile.
Kicking it with it.
might have been kicking it like Chuck Norris, really. You know what I mean? And so the problem is, so you certainly have to distract, et cetera. You know, Trump and those guys, they kind of do what they do in plain sight, and they expect people not to pay attention to it. And they've had some success on the whole distraction tip, right? You know what I mean? And so it was clear to me, first of all, that whole, let's get some documents released down in Florida was a red herring for two reasons. First of all, they could have been reasonably certain that the judge was never going to allow that, and the judge did not allow that. So you can say, oh, we tried. The other thing, too, is, related to that, it's not going to get released because there are some private things in there, names of people, some of those types of things, private information. But also, it wasn't going to say enough about Trump to make a difference, if anything, about Trump, because Trump wasn't the one being prosecuted at that time related to that issue. And so now you fast forward, you got this issue now. Some of us want to talk about the loss of Medicaid. Some of us want to talk about the big ugly bill and things that are happening with that. But these guys are 100% changed the subject. Now they got Obama guilty of treason, even though you've got people that are in the administration now, not just Republicans, actual people who are turning around on the very words that they said years ago. Gabbard, Little Marco, saying something totally diametrically opposed to what they said not very long ago to help him detract from the issue because that Epstein thing is hot. And I got to tell you, I have to make a confession here. I really didn't think that people would really jump on it. I really didn't think that the MAGA folk would jump on it, particularly because could they be unwise enough to know that if those reports and those lists were actually true and complete, that Trump could potentially be on them?
No, Joe, they thought it was going to be Bill Clinton all day.
Yeah, that's some sincere blindness. Like, that is crazy. Just like that letter that he wrote to him for his birthday and all of this other stuff. I mean, do you guys really know? See, the problem is once you start really saying, oh, I want the truth, whatever the truth is. If you rock with Trump, eventually that's going to be a problem. You might have to ignore the truth like you have so many times before. So I'm not sure I put it past you to do that. I mean, they still people, up in the pizza parlor looking for the basement, like it's Pee-wee's Big Adventure, the Alamo. You know what I mean? People are still doing that. It's crazy to me that if you really believe and you really are going after the truth, that this can't bite you at some point, because there's no way that he would not be listed or mentioned in a situation where you're actually having a complete investigation, a complete report. And then the reporting that Bondi has told Trump you're on the list or you're mentioned proves our point.
They actually thought, Rebecca, we were going to fall for the okie doke, the banana in the tailpipe. They were like, yeah, they're going to take the bait. They're going to take the bait again. It's like, no, we're not going to fall for the banana in the tailpipe. And they have been trying to switch the story now for 2 weeks. And Rebecca, you can't get, there's some stench that Febreze can't cover up. You're just gonna smell for you're just gonna be funky for a very long time. It's gonna be in your pores.
Roland, like I said last week, the cloud of flatulence that people are talking about in DC that's surrounding Trump. Here's the thing. If Leader Jeffries reached out to me and was like, Rebecca, what should I do over the next 45 days? I would tell him to do the following. Get ready and go on Rogan's show. Get ready to do some live streams on Twitch and spend your entire recess talking about the Epstein files. Make Speaker Johnson rue the day that he decided to cut town because he understood that there were enough votes to demand the release of the Epstein files. Talk about that every single day for the next 45 days. Because if Leader Jeffries wants to be Speaker Jeffries, this is his path to flipping the House next year. Not only that, stir up some trouble in Texas. Connect the attempt to redistrict in Texas as a last and weak grasp that this White House is doing in order to cover up the Epstein files. tie every single thing moving forward that he views his opposition to be doing and tie it to the Epstein files. If Speaker Johnson wants to talk about these tax cuts for the billionaires, talk about these are tax cuts for people who are associates of Epstein. Every single day, connect every single issue, every single thing that the Republicans are doing, tie it to Epstein. I think that if Leader Jeffries does that, he's going to gain traction. He's going to not just have the left, the left-wing media, if there is a left-wing media left, but he will also be able to domineer and take over right-wing media and right-wing news sources online, especially within the realm of new media. He'll be able to reach the audiences that aren't locked into him doing these press conferences talking about the American dream, when we all know there is no American dream. Instead, he needs to punch hard, and make sure that Speaker Johnson feels every single day over the next 45 days.
Fact, I'm going to go even further, Scott. I'm going to send some people to Mike Johnson's church with signs outside saying, what would Jesus do, Mike?
Well, Roland, give me the top 3 reasons why Trump would not release these files. You don't need JFK files. You don't need 3. Scott, you don't need 3. Scott,
no, you asked for 3. You don't need 3. Here's 1. No, it's only one reason. You understand. Donald Trump.
I was getting to that.
He hates to admit defeat. So what he will do, he will compound his problem as opposed to admit defeat. You got to remember, he's psychotic. He's deranged. He's narcissistic. And so if he can't control the pieces, he goes crazy. And he's right now like, what the hell, damn it? He literally, remember he said, stop talking about this. He calls Charlie Kirk on the phone. Stop discussing it. And Charlie goes, hey, Trump called me and said, don't talk about it. You know you just turned into another story. And so what Rebecca just said is you hit him every day. You come back in September, you go, say, dog, we gonna vote on that amendment. What are he gonna do? He gonna send him home for September? Come back in October. Say, bro, we gonna vote on that amendment. That's the deal. It's the one thing. He cannot admit defeat because his ego says, I have to always win.
Well, but there's another reason, Roland. We keep talking about his name being in the files. I want to see the photographs and the videos and the pictures. I want to see, because if he's in a bad way or a compromised position, that's a really important reason why not to release those files after he and everyone else on MAGA and his cabinet members all said they were going to release them. See, they fed this bear. Bondi and Trump and others fed this bear during the campaign. And now the dog is caught up with the car. They looked in the car and they saw Donald Trump there in a compromised position. So now they don't want to release it. Does anybody really believe the guy that said you could just kiss a woman without her permission or touch her in the private part, or that if he wasn't for the woman being his daughter, he'd date her, and he runs around with Epstein for 15 years? If you had to bet on whether he's in the files in a negative way in his mind, you gotta bet on the fact that he is, given his prior background, including the being found liable for sexual assault. I mean, it's just all right there. It's just too juicy to think that there's some other reason. Block out the names of the victims and block out other sensitive stuff, but the rest of it ought to come out. There's no reason for it not to. None whatsoever. 65% of the people want it out. Maybe 80%, I think, want it out. Why? He releases everything, but he won't release this. because he's up in it in a bad way.
Hey, say, dog, I'm just being perfectly honest. I think this is the real reason why his ankles are swollen.
Why?
Anthony, come on, dog. The stress is on his ass, and them ankles are just, them legs gonna get bigger and bigger. He gonna be looking like Medea real soon. He got them
forget he's a criminal.
He got them cankles.
He's a criminal.
I'm laughing, and listen, I say hit that fool every single day. Not let a day go by, and if he tried, Jeffrey. That's right. You know what's gonna happen next? It's gonna be more photos coming out. Oh, hold up, dog. People who were at the wedding gonna be posting their photos in the pool.
Yeah.
That's all that's going on. All right, let me go to a break, y'all. But y'all, listen, the right wing can't stand us talking about it because they want to move on. No, it's not gonna happen because it drives them crazy. All right, y'all, don't forget, support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. Your support is absolutely critical. Remember I told y'all last break in terms of where we're the only black news outlet. Here, this is right here. This is the YouTube weekly top podcast shows. July 14th to the 20th. Call Her Daddy podcast dethroned Joe Rogan for number 1. Midas Touches number 3. And so when you go on this list, you sit here and you look at all the folks here. You look at all these right-wing shows, and then when you start to look, Gilbert Arenas is 24. Then when you start going through here, Club Shay Shay's 32. Then you got Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's number 34. Then you got some ignorant black conservative dude. And this Davory Doc is another black conservative nutcase. Then you got The Pivot. You got 85 South Comedy Show. You got Nightcap. Then you got, you keep going and you see all of this, Joe and Jada, Fat Joe and Jadakiss. Again, more entertainment. You keep going and you keep going. And you see us. We right there at number 62. 5:20 in the morning. That's Jeff Teague's podcast. If you keep going, Carmelo Anthony. Club 520 is also Jeff Teague's podcast. Real Life Street Stars podcast. You keep going. If you keep going down here, let's see here. That's Benny Johnson. That's the one who took $400,000 a month from the Russians. There you go. And then let's see here. You got Michelle Obama and Craig Robinson. You keep going. Let's see here. I know Joe Budden is down here. And so, all these folks down here, y'all, when it comes to news information, it's just us. And so that's why the support is absolutely so critical. Your support is critical. So Cash App, you see it right here. This is the QR code we use, Stripe. Click the Cash App Pay button to contribute. You can use the same QR code for credit cards. Check some money order, make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. Send to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. PayPal R Martin Unfiltered, Venmo RM Unfiltered, Zelle Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. And so get it right there. We'll be right back.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr, we look at one of the most influential and prominent Black Americans of the 20th century. His work literally changed the world. Among other things, he played a major role in creating the United Nations. He was the first African American and first person of color to win the Nobel Peace Prize. And yet today, he is hardly a household name. We're talking, of course, about Ralph J. Bunche. A new book refers to him as the absolutely indispensable man.
His lifelong interest and passion in racial justice, specifically in the form of colonialism. And he saw his work as an activist and advocate for the Black community here in the United States as just the other side of the coin of his work trying to roll back European empire in Africa.
Author Cal Rostiala will join us to share his incredible story. That's on the next Black Table, here on the Black Star Network.
My name is Lena Charles, and I'm from Opelousas, Louisiana. Yes, That is Zydeco capital of the world.
My name is Margaret Chappelle. I'm from Dallas, Texas, representing the Urban Trivia Game.
It's me, Sherry Shepherd, and you know what you watch.
Roland Martin on Unfiltered.
Prominent pastor in Detroit is headed to prison. Kenneth Flowers, the former pastor of Great New Mount Moriah Missionary Baptist Church in Detroit, pled no contest to several charges of sexual assault. He faced 2 counts of third-degree criminal sexual conduct involving force or coercion. The 64-year-old has been sentenced to 4 to 15 years in prison. Will be placed on Michigan's sex offender registry. Charges of first-degree criminal sexual conduct and kidnapping were dropped in the case. He was accused of assaulting a 17-year-old boy in December 2023. The teenager lived in the pastor's neighborhood in Farmington Hills. Folks, anytime you see these white MAGA people, or even some of these blackface MAGA Negroes, I call them the help. Whenever they go, Ketanji Brown Jackson's a DEI hire. Well, guess what? This one user on TikTok did something really interesting. So what he did was, it's called Debunction Junction. That's what he goes by. So what he did was, he said, you know what? Let's use Elon Musk AI tool Grok to actually do a comparison on the Supreme Court justices. And this is what he discovered.
She is the epitome of a DEI hire.
All right, so this guy is calling Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson the epitome of a DEI hire. But is that true? And I thought what I'd do for this video is compare the last 4 Supreme Court justices to be seated. That's Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, Amy Coney Barrett. These are all Trump nominees. And this is Ketanji Brown Jackson, who is nominated by Joe Biden. And I know a lot of people hate AI, but I love it for unbiased comparisons on multiple variables. And so to start with, we're going to go to Elon Musk's Grok, and I'm going to ask it, can you give me a side-by-side comparison of all the recent Supreme Court justices and their qualifications before being named to the bench? Let's compare the resumes of Ketanji Brown Jackson, Amy Coney Barrett, Brett Kavanaugh, and Neil Gorsuch. I'd like a detailed breakdown of their previous education, clerkships, and experience as both a lawyer and judge before being named to the bench. If possible, rank them 1 through 4 at the end and include a score of 100 for each. 100 being the most qualified candidate ever, and 0 being wholly unqualified. And as you can see, there is my prompt, and here is its reply. It created this massive, long table here of all the information. And then down here at the end, it says that it's going to rank it 20% on education, 20% on clerkships, 30% on legal experience, and 30% on judicial experience. And as you can see down here at the bottom, under the ranking and scoring, it actually ranks Ketanji Brown Jackson first with a score of 92 out of 100. Then it ranks Brett Kavanaugh second with a score of 88 out of 100. If we scroll down here, you'll see that Neil Gorsuch takes third with a score of 86 out of 100, and last is Amy Coney Barrett with a score of 80 out of 100. And then just for good measure, I said, if you did this same analysis with all 9 Supreme Court justices at the time they were nominated, can you give me the same rankings and score? And here's how Grok ranked all 9 Supreme Court justices, with Sonia Sotomayor taking first with 94 out of 100, and Amy Coney Barrett isn't last anymore. That belongs to Clarence Thomas with 78 out of 100. So I'm sorry, conservatives, if you're looking for DEI hires that have been placed on the Supreme Court, this is your number 2 offender, and this is number 1.
Ain't that something, Scott? Now, of course, first of all, we know they don't care, but they love throwing it out there. And so, and I say this to all the black people, you can that analysis right there shows you can try to sit here and wave your degrees, defend yourself. They're racist. They'll never concede it. They don't want you there.
Yeah, but they're hypocrites too, because we know that Justice Clarence Thomas was not the most qualified at the time under Bush, for sure. And I don't know Amy Barrett very well, her judicial history, but AI says she's ranked second to last and lower than the last 4. I can believe that. Black people, few of us get to fail forward. When we fail, we go back. But people with no melanin in their skin, they keep winning. They keep going forward. Mediocrity is the order of the day, and we still, even in 2025, have to be bigger, better, brighter, stronger, faster, more intellectual, harder, more hardworking than our white counterparts, whatever the industry is. It is a fact. If you want to challenge me on that, I've had these discussions with leaders in other industries, all of them. And if you're black and at the top of your game, I got to tell you, you work twice as hard, but you're twice as credentialed as your white counterparts. You just are across the board. And so this is our reality. I tell young people all the time, racism always has a presence, but your grandfather, your father, and your great-grandfather suffered more, had to work harder, and did more than where we are in 2025.
This is why I say, Rebecca, with all seriousness, sincerity, conviction, fuck them.
Wait, what'd you say? What'd you say?
Fuck them. I am not going to give you a TED talk on my credentials.
Really? Because the other ones ain't shit.
Rebecca, go ahead.
So, like, listening to, like, that Black MAGA dude, like, who is he? Because the weird self-flagellation that he did in order to bend himself into a pretzel to what show I'm not like the other blacks. Like, I'm not really understanding what's his point in going after Judge Ketanji. Like, no one asked him. And he didn't have any metrics to really articulate his point. That just doesn't make sense. So it's like all these randoms are just doing rage bait on social media. And what's unfortunate, many of these platforms reward that rage bait, and then it gets monetized.
Yeah. And plus, they ain't got nothing else to do.
Joe?
Well, there was no sister getting to the Supreme Court unless she was airtight. So I knew once she got there that she was the real deal because she had to be.
Oh yeah.
That was her reality. And so even then, it's just
straight.
It's all the more frustrating when they get a brother to talk about it. Now you got to go through all these changes, take away this dude's BSU card, disinvite him to the barbecue. I mean, the whole thing. It's just crazy. And then, aside from being papered up from a standpoint of having the qualifications, which she has, and on paper, she runs rings around Amy Coney Barrett, to be honest with you. Even then, after you do all that, there's this multiple social languages that we have to speak, where we're in the belly of the beast all the time. So not only do we have to be better on paper, do we have to be better from a qualification standpoint? I believe we do. I also believe that intangibles and other things that don't make it to paper, we have to be better at as well, because you've got to be able to speak all of these social languages. And even after you do all of that, there are people that would actually tone their mouth to say that this is a DEI hire. But most of the time, all of that is deflection. When they say there's a DEI hire, they know that they've got a legacy son that has no business at that university or on that job, but he got it anyway. When they say that, you don't belong here, no, it's because you know that you don't belong here. Or something the other day, they were talking about naming, I don't know, the Met or some place after Melania Trump.
The Opera House at the Kennedy Center.
The Opera House,
which is a joke because she can't even spell opera.
Right.
And listen, I'm telling you right now, House, House is a part of the White House, and you can spell her the H, the O, the U, and the S, and I don't think she gonna get it right.
So, and here's the other thing, jumping around a little bit here, he has got such a thing, Trump has got such a thing for Obama. Fundamentally, he's jealous of that brother. He's jealous.
Oh, yeah. First of all, the Nobel Peace Prize, the poll numbers.
Right. He's never
he mad because he's thinner, his crowds, all this sort of stuff.
He knows,
But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, though. I need people to understand, though, and which is why I wrote my book, White Fear. Y'all need to understand what these cats are doing. I'm telling you, they're fixated. They are desperate because the world has changed. And let me be real clear. They don't like black people, okay? They don't want Latinos here, but they want white women to shut up, lay down, birth their babies, and stay in the house. This is Charlie Kirk talking to Tucker Carlson. I keep telling y'all what their game plan is. Roll it.
Card. So, but the power of young white men in this country, if they were motivated and purposeful, yeah, young white men helped us win a world war and get to the moon and split the atom.
You better give him weed and fentanyl and benzodiazepines and DraftKings and porn just to kind of disable them so they don't rise up and eat you. That's what I would do. I'm just saying, like, if I were in charge of society, I'd be like, holy shit, I'm afraid of these guys.
You're so right. And I try to, so I listen to your show all the time, Tucker. And
Sorry.
when you say stuff like that, I try to challenge it. I'm like, is it really a centralized conspiracy? I'm like,
no, it's a conspiracy of instinct.
No, but then I'm like, I got nothing. But it's like, you know, if you were trying to make the most, by the way, if you look at just the genetics of it, like I'm Scots-Irish, I'm like very disagreeable, boundary pushing, you know, like rebellious. I know my genetic type. And by the way, genetics matter. We should talk about genetics more. It's not racist to say that. So my genetics come from all the way, you know, from Scotland, from the Maxwell clan, you know, fought alongside William Wallace. But if you want to like kind of calm down that kind of Appalachia fighting spirit, man, you would do what you're doing right now.
It's a Protestant spirit. I mean, let's just get
of course it is.
Let's just get really honest about it. It's the people who founded the country were Protestants. I'm as pro-Catholic as anyone could be. My best friends are Catholic. I'm
Calvinist too.
Not against Catholics at all. I love Catholics. However, this country was founded by Protestants because they think for themselves. And they're the legacy, you know, they're the heirs of Martin Luther, who took on, you know, the 1500-year-old church by himself.
Totally.
You know, they are people who believe they communicate directly with God, that their conscience is more important than federal law. And they're really hard to deal with. And so you have to destroy them first. And they did.
Well, they're not done yet. There's still a lot. And that's...
Well, I know some. Well, I am one.
But by the way, even the young men that are currently lost, let's bring...
That's what they want, Rebecca. They are trying to they're trying to galvanize young white men because and their whole deal is to these white men, you're being left out. It's DEI. It's those women. It's them. And it's these feminists. And they're taking your jobs, taking your opportunities. And Charlie Kirk's whole mission, and Charlie Kirk is a white male college dropout who is not the brightest bulb in a dark room. And he actually represents many of these dumbass white men in the country who want, they're the ones who want to go back to how America used to be, where they ran everything. Rebecca, go ahead.
Yeah, so the ideology that he's espousing is of the 3%ers, right? The 3%ers really isn't about a quantifiable 3%, but is literally, they believe there are three sets of people who belong in this country. The first set are the WASP. So when you hear them talk about the white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, specifically, we're not talking about Eastern Europeans or those white immigrants, European immigrants who came in like second, third, and fourth, and fifth, and whatever current wave we are in European immigration to the United States. They're talking about those original descendants of Anglo-Saxons. That was very clear listening to both Tucker and Charlie talk about it. They believe that they're the first folks who actually have the authority or are the true Americans. The second group are veterans. They believe that if you fought for this country, then you too are owed a piece of this country. The third group, ironically, are descendants, African descendants of American slavery, because they believe, and I'm part of that group, they believe that we are here not because of equality, but we're here to have servitude to the WASP. And so what they are espousing is a clear white nationalist ideology that doesn't include every white person. So what's really interesting is we're seeing a flatness in race in this country, and we're seeing that white people are struggling with the loss of their identity, of their ethnic identity, their ethnic heritage, because they have succumbed to the ideology of whiteness. We know that as different waves of people have come into this country, if we could start like maybe with the 1880s, go to the 1890s, early, the turn of last century, one of the things that we noticed by the time that European immigrant that's from a non-Anglo-Saxon country, by the time they're second generation in this country, they have now been washed, and now they are now deemed as white folks. So that nationalist agenda that we just saw doesn't include any of those people, quite frankly, who probably immigrated from Europe, probably post 1830s. So it's really interesting, especially when we look at our Hispanic brothers and sisters trying to talk about how they're white just because they're ethnically Hispanic, but racially they are considered white. The Tucker Carlsons of the world, the Charlie Kirks of the world, they do not consider you to be white because you are not a part of that original WASP group, which is really interesting, watching some of those same Hispanic people on TikTok saying, well, this is not what I voted for. You were never included in this equation of white nationalism. So I think it's very important for people to go back and read some of those writings from over 250 years ago to understand what this fight, what this battle that we're in actually is.
Joe, go ahead. Oh, Joe's frozen. All right, then. So great point there, Rebecca. Bottom line to y'all, we know who they are. We know who they are, and they're telling you. So listen accordingly and act accordingly. All right, gotta go to a break. We come back. Tech Talk. Back in a moment.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr, we look at one of the most influential and prominent Black Americans of the 20th century. His work literally changed the world. Among other things, he played a major role in creating the United Nations. He was the first African American and first person of color to win the Nobel Peace Prize. And yet today, he is hardly a household name. We're talking, of course, about Ralph J. Bunche. A new book refers to him as the absolutely indispensable man.
His lifelong interest and passion in racial justice, specifically in the form of colonialism. And he saw his work as an activist and advocate for the Black community here in the United States as just the other side of the coin of his work trying to roll back European empire in Africa.
Author Cal Rostiala will join us to share his incredible story. That's on the next Black Table, here on the Black Star Network.
Carl Payne pretending to be Roland Martin. Holla!
You ain't got to wear black and gold every damn place, okay? Ooh, I'm an alpha, yay. All right, you're 58 years old. It's over.
And you are now watching
Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Uncut, unplugged, and undamn believable.
Hey, control room, do a check for me. All that hating from Chris Spencer. Is he an honorary Sigma? Oh, because we don't do honoraries in Alpha. All right, y'all. Let's talk about one man's mission to reshape how students approach career opportunities, particularly in STEM and STEAM fields, led him to create the Big Tide Summit. It provides students with the opportunity to explore industries that may not require a college degree, but do require trade skills. Robert Gould's summit addressed the growing concern of a workforce desperate for skilled workers. He joins us now. Robert, how you doing?
Hello, Mr. Martin. How you doing, sir? Good evening.
So how long have you at this summit?
We've had it for 4 years now. In 3.5 years, we scaled from 20 people in a room with a vision and a dream to serving over 7,000 students. We're in 12 counties across the Southeast, and we're building the next generation of leaders in tech and in STEM, particularly in rural areas, providing access to people who have typically been inaccessible. So we're so excited about it and honored to be here with you today, sir. It's an honor.
Are these high school students, college students, or a mix?
Yes, high school students. So our program really taps into this idea of creating not just opportunity, but access to students at a pivotal point in transitioning into workforce development. So we assess them from special 8th grade up into 12th grade. They go into our system and then they're empowered with the ability to be able to take hold of their career development and then actually get jobs on the spot, whether they are going to directly into the college route or directly into career access. We're here to provide them the opportunities. So it's a one-stop shop.
And so how do you track those students to see if they still are interested in STEM and STEAM, and what does that result in terms of career and opportunity with jobs?
Yes, sir. So, what's so important is surveying is crucial. I'm a data guy, and that's my background too. And so what's so important for us is to be able to not just track, but we want to walk hand in hand with students. So it's not enough when we talk about careers just to talk about the end result. We have to talk about what is life after the job? What is life when you go home? How do we build holistic leaders? And so mentorship is such a key part of our programming because we understand that just having the trade is not enough. You have to be empowered and infueled with the tools to succeed in life so that you can succeed on a job. And so we may not all go to college, but we all have to have a career. And so we have to know finance, everyone. We have to know interpersonal skills, communication skills, not just how to pitch product, but how do you pitch who you are, who you were born to be in this world. And so those are the fundamental pillars that are built on Big Tide. And that's how we create big access for students across the Southeast.
Questions from the panel. Rebecca, you first.
Sure. Two questions. One, if there is a young person who's interested in attending or being a part of this movement, how do they sign up? And then second, for those of us who want to be able to support this movement, how can we support?
Yes, thank you so much, Rebecca, for that question. You know, what's so amazing is we've been able to scale and service over 7,000 students across the Southeast in 12 counties at zero cost to the students and at zero cost to the school systems that we service. And so we understand that this is a need. Students want more tech access to jobs that don't require necessarily four-year college degrees, but the grit, the understanding, and the backing of understanding interpersonal skills. With entities like Hyundai and the Port Authority growing here in Southeast Georgia, we understand that we have to have that workforce developed. And so we are looking, we're 501c3, and so we are literally just self-funded, brick by brick, grassroots, just believing in the mission, and to be honest, scaled beyond necessarily having all the dollars in the bank account, but having big dreams and big capability to make things happen. So we want to offer anyone the opportunity to visit bigtide.org. As long as you are a registered high school student in school and in a public institution or private institution, you can attend Big Tide for free and have access to jobs in tech, career training, and then also mentorship from national CEOs from across the country who are coming to provide you access for free. And so you can visit bigtide.org to find out more information about that. And if you are a corporate donor and want to be a part of helping us build big futures, you can also visit bigtide.org and sponsor and be a part of us providing our career access to thousands of students.
Joe.
Great work that you're doing. I wonder if there are other plans to, it sounds like you're scaling and you're getting bigger. Talk about some of the plans that you have in terms of how you get bigger, how much bigger you get, and whether you will focus on the Southeast, continue to focus on the Southeast, or you'll actually spread and go into other parts of the country.
Thank you so much for that question. You know, it's so important for smart growth and sustainability are at the core of our programming. And so thank you so much for that question. You know, it's so important for smart growth and sustainability are at the core of our programming. And so we see Big Tide as a big mission because we understand that if we provide access to education, right now we are in a technology typhoon with over 15,000 jobs quoted just this year needed for jobs in tech and in technology, in electronic vehicles, and the expansion of those industries. We understand that there are many communities across the Southeast that have to have a qualified workforce that is more than just understanding the trades, but understanding livelihoods so that they can provide economic support back to their hometowns. And so the goal of Big Tide is to go big, baby. We believe in that in everything that we do. So we see this as a global mission, as also a national mission. And so this year, our goal is to hit another 3,000, which will bring our total in 4 years to impacting 10,000 lives across the Southeast and impacting students with real-time access to jobs, careers, but lifestyles and understanding who they are. And so we're excited about that and providing more scholarships that are not traditional. I would like to add, our career fund is not just for students who are going directly to college, and there are amazing organizations who are fighting that fight, but we want to be in the space for the untraditional student who may not be going directly to college, but they're in a pendulum space and they're going directly into career. And if they have the financing to get a car, to get equipment, to get the cosmetology license, to get, the fuel, that they can literally change their whole trajectory of their legacy. And so we're looking to expand that across the country, and we've built a model that can be sustainable for the world.
Again, how can folks reach you for more information?
Yes, sir. You can visit bigtide.org and follow us at the Big Tide Summit. And we're hoping, Mr. Martin, maybe we can have your presence soon here in Chatham County. So we're excited about it. And I'm excited to exclusively drop here. We've announced 2026 date, which will be April 24th, Friday, April 24th and 25th in Savannah at the Savannah Convention Center. And so we're honored to be back for another year of making big change for big impact.
All right. Certainly good luck with that. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much, sir, for having me.
I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. All right, folks, we're going to close the show with this. I saw this video, y'all, and I just thought it was just too funny not to share with y'all. A lot of these little white, crazy MAGA people love to keep talking about, go back to Africa. So this one brother was like, all right, that's what y'all want me to do? Help me.
Go back to Africa. Say less.
All right, folks, you asked and you shall receive. So let's fucking make this shit happen. I have now started a Give, Send, Go campaign to send my black ass back to Africa. The goal is to raise $30K by August 12th. Because tickets are expensive, visas are very complicated. I'm black, inept, broke, and I need help from you good white people. Please. Don't just waste your time and energy writing angry comments in my comment section. Actually do something about it. You can actually make a difference. Every dollar that you donate gets me one step closer to disappearing from your perfect America and far, far away from you and your beautiful white children. So help me leave for good. It's a win-win for everyone.
See, that's how you do it. All y'all pull up how much he's raised. Y'all pull up the graphic. Y'all pull up. What is that? First of all, $447. That's it. $447. See, them fools always got something to say, and so he's like, okay, all right, this is what y'all want to do. It's not a problem. It's not a problem. Now, y'all know what this reminds me of. Y'all remember that black woman? Remember that black woman who screwed over MAGA? Remember she got them fools to pay off $150,000 of her college debt? Y'all remember this sister right here? Y'all remember? She went there, MAGA, making America great again, and just totally jacked them up. So I think it's a brilliant idea. See, that's what you do. That's what you do, Rebecca. You sit there and you trash these fools and you play with them, and it's like, put your money where your mouth is. Put your money where your mouth is. And so, I wouldn't have asked for 30-some-odd thousand. I would have said, now go ahead and put about $250,000. Put in about $500,000. Essentially what he's saying is that's what the racist white folks did. They sent enslaved folks of African descent from here to Liberia.
Like, look, if they're sick and tired of us, if you're sick and tired of us talking about white supremacy and white nationalists and all this other stuff, go ahead and just pay us our reparations. You do that and you could go run and do what you want to do, because if I get the money that's owed to me and my family, then I understand how I can compete, because I understand how my family has survived and I understand the talent that's in my family and many other descendants who were forced on these shores. It's like, we know how to compete, so give us our resources and we will beat you every time.
Joe?
Yeah, listen, like Gwen Guthrie said, no romance without finance. So I'll be from Missouri, so just go on and show me the money, and we can talk and see what's what. You want to hustle, put your money where your mouth is. Let's see, love not in word, neither in tongue, but in deed and in truth. So pay me, run me my money, and that'll be that.
Yeah, it's as simple as that. So all y'all folks who run y'all miles and everything, I mean, that's how you hit them with. Oh, real quick, before I go, you know Trump people going crazy. You know Manuel Abrego Garcia, you know, they've been bouncing that man back and forth from Maryland to El Salvador and back, trying to charge him with you know, sex trafficking and everything. Well, guess what? A federal judge in Tennessee said, hey, y'all got to release him. Then a federal judge in Maryland said, y'all got to release him too. And then told ICE, y'all can't rearrest him. So they don't know what the hell to do, but I'm sure they're going to probably appeal to the Supreme Court. But we're dealing with incompetent people. That's what we're dealing with, and that's what happens. MAGA wanted this, and so we got to deal with this crap for the next 3 years and 6 months. But I love it when they take L's. All right, Scott had to go early. Let me thank Joe. Let me thank Rebecca. I certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Hey, folks, thanks for tuning in as well. Don't forget, we want y'all to support the work that we do. John Albrina Funk Fan Club. I told y'all, I showed y'all earlier, that when it comes to, you know, you're watching one of the top podcasts on YouTube in the country. They came out with their ranking. Last week, I think we were 76. This week, we're 62. And we're the only black news podcast. We're the only one on this whole list, y'all. Everybody black, everybody else is entertainment, sports. Neil deGrasse Tyson, you know, he does astronomy, science, whatever. But hey, ain't nobody else doing black news. Y'all, there's nobody else doing what we're doing here at the Black Star Network. Nobody. There's nobody in black-owned media doing what we're doing. When it comes to covering stuff and who's going to be on the scene, like I had some fool on my talking about, yeah, you ain't out here in the streets. Really? It's amazing how many times we broadcast from all around the country. Quite interesting, quite interesting. So we're doing the work, but your support is critical. Our goal is to get 20,000 fans raising $1 million. It's $50 each a month. $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. You want to contribute via Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here. Click the Cash App pay button to contribute. Then, of course, checks and money order make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. PayPal, R. Martin Unfiltered. Venmo, RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Venmo, again, RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Get my book. Download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. You can also, of course, get my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. Available bookstores nationwide. Get our Roland Martin Unfiltered gear, like the t-shirt I have on. This is FAFO 2025, our new shirt. We put Project in here crossed out. I'll get that this weekend. So you want to get our new shirt. We got a new vendor as well. So go to shopblackstarnetwork.com for our shirts, hats, mugs, all that good stuff. Also, if y'all want to get some black-owned products, you see them right here to my right. All these products here are on our website, shopblackstarnetwork.com. Now, to give me a shout out to this, I don't want the wide shot. Give me a close-up of the products. You got Leafy toilet paper. You've got Kavan Foods. You've got the Relish. You've got all these products right here. Go to shopblackstarnetwork.com. And, of course, support Fanbase. Download the app. And, of course, if you want to participate in their Series A raise, then you can also, the goal is 17 million. You can get that get more information at startengine.com/fanbase. Y'all, that's it. I'll see y'all tomorrow right here. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Time for Truth Talks. Holla!